I want to circle back to hydration because you said a few things that I think are really important. When you think about the best water you can possibly put in your body, are you doing reverse osmosis? Are you doing spring water? What is really important to you in terms of water to make sure that your actual cells are hydrated?
Great question. So I'm going to go a little technical and then I'm going to go non-technical. So to understand hydration, there's intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid. As I indicated before, your cells operate at an osmotic pressure around 80 dynes. It's measured in dynes. So when you consume water, you want water that has a lower osmotic pressure than 80 dynes because it will get inside the cell. Otherwise, it stays outside the cell and you have that bloated feeling. Now, why is that important? Well, if you go online, I've investigated now over 200 different types of water. And you're like, come on, wait, what do you mean? And what I would say is that water has 4 distinct qualities. It can exist as a solid, a liquid, a gas, and a crystal. It's the 4th stage that was proved by Dr. Pollack. Water has 440,000 information panels. The reason that you know where your keys are or your address or what your name is because of the storage capabilities of the crystalline structure within water. So there is a memory component inside of water, which is fascinating. And we're not taught to think to these type of things. And so imagine a water molecule as not just a chemical of H2O, but as a storage device for information. So if I put light into the water, if I put frequencies into the water, if I add minerals into the water, if I add electrons into the water, if I add other elements into the water, I change, imagine it's like a DVD disc, that I now have changed the information on the water and that water will do different things. And once you understand that, then the conversations around, is reverse osmotic water better than ionized water? Is deionized water? Is alkaline water? All of those things are just elements of putting different information, like you would put a documentary versus a horror film versus a sports film versus a drama on a DVD. So it ends the debate about which water is better. What I will say is this: you can measure how well you are hydrated. There's a couple ways of looking at how healthily you're staying hydrated. One is called an electrointerstitial water scan, which I've used. It was really put forth, the US Olympic team, I think it was Dr. Carmichael back about 15, 20 years ago, started using this extensively to see the hydration levels of different organs of the body with his high performance athletes, especially as they were traveling or going to altitude, because this affects osmotic pressure. The second thing that you can look at is your Z-score, or your phase angle. So you can go to a bioimpedance lab like Bulletproof Labs or something like that, and they'll look at the phase angle of your cells. In other words, how well the angle of your cells is, which will determine how well they absorb, utilize, and nutrients and excrete toxins. So if you can get something, between 5 and 7 for men, and I think it's 4 and 6 for women, you're doing pretty good. Personally, I'm well over 7. And the reason I am is because I use a pre-filtration process. So all kinds of membrane filtration I think are best if you're in a city. And that's because you can reduce the chemicals that are in the water. So that could be reverse osmosis, or it could be other membrane technology. I would suggest that you reintroduce minerals if you're using reverse osmosis, because it can strip the mineral, and that can be problematic. And then afterwards, I run my water through an ionizer. And the reason I do that is because they're called, if you look at on the scientific papers, it's called reduced water. Well, why is it called reduced water? You can run an electrical current and split the water to an alkaline stream and an acidic stream. And the alkaline stream will then have a lower osmotic pressure because of the electrolysis process and be much more readily absorbed by your cells.